So, while Washington has been warning South Africa,
Hey guys, welcome back to eñémy TV. So this video we're about to watch, please I would like you to listen carefully and see the reason why Washington of America does not like South Africa. They see South Africa as their enemy. Watch this video from some of these people carefully and I will be right back.
so while Washington has been warning South Africa that cozying up to Iran could sink all of our diplomatic deals and trade agreements and diplomatic relationships between two countries, the South African military appears, and this is where it's going to get crazy, either the South African military ignored direct orders from their president and decided to keep Iran in the drill anyway, or they never intended on actually excluding Iran from the drill. Now, more than apparent that Americans are opening their eyes to the persecution, and as you've heard me claim, and as President Trump has said on his Truth Social and in many of his posts, that there is the slaughter of Afrikaners in South Africa, and it is the goal of the United States. It is part of our agenda. It is part of our mission to end the persecution of Afrikaners and other ethnic minorities who are trapped in this cycle of violence and persecution in South Africa. That South Africa could and has the potential to be a world player on the world scene, not just in the southern part of Africa, but with resources and a population and a potential economy, all of which was squandered after 1994 to the one man, one vote mob rule that is the downfall of all democratic systems. All of that was thrown away, but the potential is still there and it can be revived. And that is what the United States needs to do at this point.
Into eyenziwa uTrump and ngiyayithandela comment, but looking in facts, the way Putin and China are responding to this matter, it doesn't look like South Africa will stand alone against the US. Okay, that is a very good analysis, Siyanda, and I appreciate you for this comment, and because you are looking at what is currently happening now. Okay, ngicela uyayilalelisisa kahle le video khona uzobona ukuthi how will South Africa be left alone in the context of the US. Okay, now lokho uzokwazi uku-achieve uma uzokwazi ukuhlukanisa lezi zinto ezimbili, uzokwazi ukuhlukanisa i-US no-Trump. Kunzima ukuhlukanisa njengamanje because uTrump is a sitting president of i-US, and uzama ukuhlukanisa lokho kungaba nzima ukuyi-understand. Remember i-US ukuthi is part of i-G7, which is a rival to i-BRICS, ama-BRICS nation. I-South Africa which belongs to i-BRICS. Okay, now ke kodwa nansi into engicela uyibuke ukuthi i-South Africa is fighting the United States, but yona itargete uTrump. And bayithatha phi lo backup yabo? I will tell you right now ukuthi it's not just from i-BRICS, kodwa amazwe e-G6 ayayihlohla i-South Africa ukuthi ayikwenze lokhu ngoba ngeke bona beziqondele yona direct i-US since bekwi-partnership nayo, 1 kwi-G6, 2 kwi-NATO. Okay, now ngicela ubukeke into eyenziwa uTrump kumazwe angama G6, meaning ama partners abo, amazwe angama G7, I mean the other 6 countries angama partners abo. If you look at le video ngizokufakela yona right now, addressa iFrance, ukhuluma neFrance. Remember iFrance is there a strategic partner, and muzwe indlela addressa ngayo nento ayishoyo ukulwisa
they wouldn't need fear-mongering. And that tells you something very important. If Washington genuinely believed South Africa was this failed or rogue state that was persecuting a certain group of individuals, that response would have looked very different. You would have seen broad sanctions, financial restrictions, diplomatic isolation. Instead, what we actually saw was continued diplomatic engagement, and yes, since the ICJ case against Israel, there has been a volatile relationship, but there has still been continued trade discussions and a limited refugee channel aimed at individuals. Not a country. That's not evidence of looming intervention. Unfortunately, Chris, I'm so sorry. That's evidence that the most extreme claims did not convince policymakers in Washington. And this is where the dishonesty really shows. Some of the same people whose lobbying failed, and now they have egg on their faces, it failed to produce sanctions, are now pointing at Venezuela and saying, see, this is what's coming for South Africa. No. If their claims had held up, they wouldn't need hypotheticals. They wouldn't need fear-mongering, and they wouldn't need fantasy scenarios. They'd have concrete results, and they don't. Now let's deal with the legislation. And I know there's so many campaigns when it comes to social media campaigns, when there's a piece of legislation coming from some APAC-funded politician in the US, and they keep waving this legislation around.
The humiliation of South Africa by the United States under Donald Trump has escalated from trade disputes to outright hostility, and what we're seeing now should alarm every African who understands the historical patterns of Western domination. Just days ago, in the marble halls of the US Senate, Republican Senator John Kennedy sat across from Ambassador Jamieson Greer, the United States Trade Representative, and asked a question that reveals the contempt with which they view African sovereignty. What do you want to do about South Africa as part of AGOA, given that South Africa is not America's friend? Kennedy demanded, as if friendship with Washington is a prerequisite for economic dignity. But listen carefully to what came next, my brothers and sisters. Kennedy continued, "Don't you think we have to separate South Africa and AGOA?" And Greer, without hesitation, agreed. He would be happy to consider that proposal, he said, as casually as one might discuss removing an item from a shopping list. Then Kennedy went further, and these are his exact words.
Well, they're a unique problem for America.
Correct.
I mean, they're our enemy right now. I mean, they're buddies with all of our enemies, and they've been very critical of the United States.
That's exactly right, and that's why they're actually treated in a much different way. Most of the African continent. So.
Let that sink in. Enemy. South Africa, a nation that fought against apartheid with the blood of its children, a nation that chose reconciliation over revenge, a nation that has consistently stood for justice on the world stage, is now being called America's enemy by its own senators. This is not happening in isolation. Since Trump returned to the White House, South Africa has faced relentless pressure to submit to American demands or face economic warfare. And friends, this is the mentality of empire, not partnership. But here's what makes this moment even more significant. South Africa is not alone. Across the continent, from east to west, from the Sahel to the southern tip, African nations are feeling Trump's wrath. Countries that refuse to bow, that insist on their sovereignty, that dare to make independent foreign policy decisions. They are all being targeted. And so the question echoes louder than ever in every capital, every village, every marketplace across our continent. What if Africa were united? What if we stood together under one superior leadership structure? Would Donald Trump, would any Western power, dare to speak to a united Africa the way they speak to us now, divided and isolated? Right now, as I speak to you, Pan-Africanists have gathered in Togo. The debate is heated, passionate, urgent. They are asking the hard questions. They are demanding solutions. They know that our dignity, our economic future, our very survival as a free people depends on unity. The evidence is right before our eyes. Divided, we are humiliated. United, we would be unstoppable. Let's go now to Togo, where history may be unfolding.
Distinguished guests, ladies. Hi guys, welcome back once again to eñémy TV. So if you have watched up to this moment, what do you think about this that is going on in South Africa, between South Africa and America/Washington? So to me, I will drop my own opinion, what I understand. You see, any country that refuses to bow down for Donald Trump, they will see that country as their worst enemy. Yes, you can quote me wrong under the comment section. If you refuse to bow down for them, they see you as an enemy because they want to take over all over the world. They want all the country to bow down and start worshiping them. Me, I like what South Africans are doing. They should stand on their own ground. Yes, because the way these people see some of these African countries. That is why some of our leaders sold African country out to them. Know that they are doing more better than us. Just that they refuse to develop Africa. That's our own leaders. So if South Africa refuse to bow down for them, I say kudos to them. Yes, kudos to them. You can drop your own opinion, what you think, under the comment section. Free to drop your own. We are learning, and your own opinion might be helpful. Yes. So guys, what do you think? What do you understand in this video that you just watched? Drop it under the comment section. To me, I will still tell you that any country that refuses to bow down to America, they see them as an enemy because they want to rule the whole world. They want to control everywhere. Yes. So thank you all for tuning into my channel. Thanks to my subscriber, my returning subscriber. And if you are new here, feel free to subscribe. I will see you in my next video. Bye.